Hey there, welcome back to the Advanced Mortgage Solutions podcast. I'm Joel Sadler, your host, and we have our mortgage expert, Scott Miller. Today, he's going to run us through a guide on the step-by-step process to apply for a new home mortgage. This is a guide that's available on the website, so feel free to jump on there and download it and add it to your file or print it off. So, Scott, do you want to run us through this step-by-step process of applying for a loan, essentially?
Sure, Joel. Yeah, look, what we've tried to do here is make it finance a little bit more interesting. It's quite a dry subject, so hence the caricatures and made it a bit of fun in buying your first home. Look, the step one is all about getting pre-approved for finance. It means that when this happens, the applicants have been pre-approved up to a certain level. Usually it's a nominated level that we ask for. And it means that when they find a house, the bank then only has to have another assessment over the security or the property that they're looking to purchase to make sure they want to go into partnership with that particular type of purchase. And around the country and in Canterbury, of course, a good 98% of all securities that are being sold, properties that are being sold, would be seen to be acceptable. The exceptions would be things like as is, where is properties, or say maybe leasehold land. It gets a bit tricky with those kind of purchases. But coming back to the guide here, we arrange a time at the office for the guys to come in so we can get the application information down and the supporting documentation required, and then I send that off to the bank so you can relax on your deck chair there while I've done all the work. And the
Love it.
result of that is that we get an offer of finance from the bank. And I call you and email you to say, hey, we've got a conditional offer. A lot of people call a conditional offer a pre-approval.
Right,
There's nothing wrong with calling it a pre-approval. It's exactly the same thing.
right.
The next
Brilliant.
step from that point is really then it's up to the applicants then to go out and do some house hunting. But we highly recommend that you use realestate.co.nz and TradeMe. You'll find in general that the properties for sale in New Zealand that are being sold through a real estate agent will end up on realestate.co.nz about a week before TradeMe, and you don't want to be a week behind everyone else. And then you want to keep the TradeMe going because private sales will be on the TradeMe platform that will never be on a real estate agent's platform. So look, they're the two major platforms that we'd advise people to go house hunting. And then of course it is the going out and looking at open homes and getting a feel for what you really want and getting an understanding of what house prices are really worth. And then when you find a property that you're really interested in, we place an offer on that property. I send those conditions and things that we want you to put in your offer. And then if your offer is accepted, then we go back to step three, which is sort of going back to the banks now with the offer,
Yep.
with your offer, getting it approved. Things at that stage are you might want to get a builder's report completed or a registered valuation completed. A lot
Right.
of people don't buy houses on a regular basis, so it's good to get those, particularly building reports, completed. I know
Mm.
nowadays a lot of times a building report is part of the sale pack. I also recommend that you go out and get your own. We have seen some big differences between what's been supplied as part of a sales pack and then what has actually been ordered by the person that's looking to buy the house. So it does pay to have that, thorough check done just to make sure that the house is what it says it is. From that point on, we go a little bit further down, step three, and you'll see that your solicitor gets involved because they check the limb and title to make sure that there's nothing about the house that could change your mind on purchasing it. And what I mean by that is, there's a road widening scheme in 5 years' time that's going to take 3 meters off the front of your house. That might change your
Yeah.
sort of enthusiasm towards buying it. Equally, it will tell you if the house is in a contaminated land zone or a flood zone or a coastal erosion zone. It will tell you all the items that have been approached to council within a 1K radius of the house that you're looking to purchase. So a super important document
Yeah.
just to make sure there's no surprises down the line post ownership. And the title just proves really that the people trying to sell the house are the people that own the house. It's not the
Yep.
renters trying to sell you the house and make a quick buck.
Yeah. You wouldn't want
Yeah,
that.
yeah. On to step four then.
Yep.
Yep. So step four, it's all about receiving that unconditional offer of finance. It means now that we send that through to the client solicitor to make sure that they know on the finance side of things we are where we need to be. At that stage, you'd also arrange, for house insurance to be completed, just so you know that when you go to settle on the house on the settlement date, you've got full insurance that covers you in case anything should happen to the house.
Mm.
Um, and then as that goes a bit further along, what you'll find is uh, the solicitor will go back to the purchasers and say, okay, we've got finance unconditional, we've done the limb title check, we've done the building report, everything's as it should be. Do you want to purchase the house? The
Right.
answer is usually yes.
Yeah.
And that means that they've now gone unconditional on the purchase,
Right.
and now
Yep.
we're simply waiting for settlement day. So if you
Ah.
go to the
Yep.
start of the final step, this is all about settlement day. So
Yep.
the your solicitor, as in the purchase solicitor, has let the vendor's solicitor know that yes, we're unconditional and we're aiming for whatever date was agreed upon.
Yep.
Um, at that stage, we get you in for a pricing meeting to make sure that all of the loan structure and everything around what we're setting up suits the client, not the bank. And
Nice.
in that way, and that changes vastly on whether we're dealing with, say, a first home buyer that's really cleaned out the cupboards in finance in deposit funds just to buy the house and don't have a lot of reserve funds left, through to subsequent purchases, or maybe older demographics that might have a little bit more horsepower in the deposit funds side of
Yeah.
things. It would mean we very much change that loan structure to suit their personal needs,
Right.
certainly not the bank's needs. And in that regard, once that's sent through to the lender, they then write up the full loan documentation that's sent to your solicitor, which of course the purchasers go into to the solicitor's office and sign to say, yes, we want to proceed, and here goes the loan structure that we asked you to set up. At that stage,
So,
everything's done. We're simply waiting for that settlement day. As you can see in that last slide there, the fireworks are going off in behind the house,
yeah.
because that sort of indicates the settlement day. And then finally, a little bit after settlement day, usually about a month after settlement day, we just follow up to make sure that everything is as it should be.
Nice.
Do the customers have any questions, particularly around the mortgage setup, of course? Sometimes the internet banking can be a little bit tricky, so we take them through that as well. So it's very
Awesome.
simple. It's an overview, a helicopter
Mm.
overview of how to buy a property,
Yep.
particularly for a first home buyer. Once you've purchased, um, once or a couple of times, you sort of get to understand this procedure, because as much as it looks like, oh my God, at the start of the process, it is fairly well the same every single time you buy a property and
Yeah.
what happens. Yeah.
Yeah. I like the fact that you follow up sort of a month later just to check in.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it's pretty important and really good service from your point of view in terms of, hey, look, just checking in, how's the loan structure working out? Because as you've said to me before, when people buy their first home, all of a sudden you've got a new obligation, a new payment obligation, right? I remember back a thing that I missed, I think, on my first home buy was I didn't pay attention into how often they would be taking the payments. I think it was fortnightly. I was expecting it monthly or something like that, and it threw me off a wee bit. And I was like, oh, so just little things like that can be really
Yeah.
helpful knowing you got someone on your side, yeah, you can
Yeah.
talk to.
Well, a lot of
Mm.
people don't realize that you pay your mortgage in arrears. Now, that sounds like it's a bad thing, doesn't it? But it's
Yeah,
not. It's just how mortgages work. So
yeah, yeah.
if you pick fortnightly repayments, your first repayment will be a fortnight after you buy the property. So you're paying
Yes,
your mortgage in arrears. It's not wrong. It's just how it works. If you pay
yeah,
anything else in arrears, and that's alarm bells. You're not
yeah,
supposed to be doing that. So a
yeah,
lot of people, find that a bit interesting, that you do pay your mortgage in arrears.
yeah. Brilliant. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for that, Scott. Look, for anyone that wants that guide, www.advancedmortgagesolutions.co.nz.
Yep,
You
it's a
can
free
also,
download on the website. Yep, so just put your name in and it emails it to you. Yep.
fantastic. And look, you can also reach out to Scott. There's web forms there to book a free consultation with him or his team.
Very
Thanks,
much,
Scott.
Joel. We'll see you
Cheers.
next time.
See you next time.
Alrighty.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.